So let's start. Guys, today we are talking about how to generate leads on LinkedIn by GrowthBand and HeyReach. And today we have amazing Nadia. And just a quick introduction, Nadia was a head of sales at Lemlist, and I know this company pretty well because I was working there as well. So hey, Nadia. But now Nadia is the head of sales at HeyReach. This is one of the superstars in terms of the LinkedIn lead generation space. HeyReach is doing amazing these days, and I'm pretty sure that you heard about this day, HeyReach. If you haven't, guys, please check it out because it's just wow, an amazing platform. Nadia, hey again, one more time. Also, just a little bit about myself. Probably you're asking who's this bird, handsome, probably a little bit old guy. And this is Ilya. My name is Ilya, and I was also at Lemlist. I was the third hire at Lemlist. I was the head of growth at Expandi, another LinkedIn automation space, another LinkedIn automation outreach tool. And now I'm a co-founder of GrowthBand and Growthy. The tools and the company that we have, we actually help in-house outbound lead generation teams with building the outbound lead generation systems. We help with go-to-market consulting and top-class outbound education, even a free one like this one. So why I know something about LinkedIn? So probably you're asking, oh yeah, who's this guy? Why he can share something about LinkedIn? Because even back in the days, I was growing Lampot. Wow, it was pretty great. After that, I was managing a really huge, one of the biggest communities around the LinkedIn growth back in days on Facebook, like 20,000 members. I was constantly reaching amazing views on LinkedIn with my content. Now, not always, but back in days, I was pretty famous and kind of micro-influencer on LinkedIn. And I was getting a lot of subscribers, email newsletters, etc., etc. But those things are vanity metrics. Okay, they're cool, but in reality, it's about our story, guys. So my my company right now, GrowthBand, is generating from 80 to 100 leads from LinkedIn. Yes, it's combined results from the profile views, from the posts that we are generating, from the outreach. But in total, LinkedIn brings us from 80 to 100 MQLs per month. That's quite okay for us, and this is for us a #1 channel when it comes to the all acquisition channels that we are getting. That is why I know something about this channel, so I'll be happy to share that. And the thing is that all of these results didn't come from just one viral post with million views, or one outreach campaign, just the magic one that I started and I was getting amazing results, or some random actions that I was doing. In reality, all those things actually I got from the consistent work on LinkedIn and improving and actually created our own framework on how to work with this platform. And on the right side, you can actually see the framework that we're using on Miro. And if you want, I can send you the details like the Miro boards. No worries about those things. Probably tell me, hey, I cannot see anything. No worries, guys. I will send it to you. So today, myself and Nadia will be extremely happy to share with you everything that we know from A to Z about the LinkedIn growth. Yes, we still have only 1 hour, right now only 50 minutes, but we'll be happy to answer all of your questions. And if you have any, feel free to reach out to us on LinkedIn, to myself, to Nadia, to ask any extra questions. And guys, one more thing before we actually start. That was the intro part. Guys, before we start, I do really want we all get something more than just available content, just amazing available content. I want us all to do a little bit of networking. So guys, please feel free to share your LinkedIn profile and tell who you are so you can connect with others. So for example, here is the LinkedIn profile for Nadia, and here's the LinkedIn profile for Ilya, for myself. So guys, please feel free to reach out to us, connect with us, tell us, hey, I'm from the webinar, let's connect, ask any questions, and so on and so forth. So, and share your own LinkedIn profiles as well in the chat. Let's not work. So, guys, again, we have a limited time, but we have so much cool information. That is why tomorrow we're going to send you not only the recording, but also like a list of guides, extra materials that you can actually use that we won't be able to actually cover today. So, the very first thing that I actually want to tell you is that why the majority of people are actually failing with LinkedIn in terms of the outbound and outreach is because the majority of people think that cold emailing and LinkedIn actually are pretty much similar, approaches or similar channels that they need to work and treat in the same way. And in reality, back in the days, like 5 years ago, it was true. Because back in the days, one salesperson had one mailbox, one LinkedIn profile. The limits were different. Spam filters were different. The world was totally different back in the days. So at that time, all the platforms tried to build the truly multi-channel outreach platforms. And this is true. But since that time, so many things have changed. LinkedIn started fighting against spammers. Cold emailing landscape has changed so much. And now you can send thousands, hundreds of thousands of cold emails per month for just a matter of, a few hundreds of dollars. The world has changed. And in reality, those two channels went in two totally different directions. Cold emailing became the place where you can send and run campaigns. It's more like a paid ads right now, rather than just relationship building channel. And LinkedIn became less spammy. You remember all of those, all of this LinkedIn message that we were always getting, like back in the days, 5 years ago, like, hey, I want to sell you something. Let me connect with you. Here's the link, etc., etc. So back in days, everyone was annoyed of LinkedIn, and LinkedIn started fighting against spammers. So back in days, it was similar channels with similar limits, with similar opportunities. Now it's two totally different channels, and we need to treat them differently. Right now, LinkedIn is kind of limited with the amount of connection requests, but this is a really great opportunity for us. Cold emailing is totally different. We don't have spam on LinkedIn anymore, but we don't have the same conversions on cold emailing as we have as LinkedIn. Guys, it's two different channels, and I want you to just understand those things. What is the actual difference in those two channels, right? First things first, cold emailing right now, since it has the scalability opportunity, it's more like ads. We can send as many cold emails as is possible. Yes, there are some spam filters, spam challenges, deliverability challenges, blah, 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 all those things. Yes, it's true. But there is no humanity there. There is no human effect. No, nothing there. We just send cold emails, run campaigns like Facebook ads or Google ads. No questions about that. But this is the approach that is working on LinkedIn, on cold emailing, and this is the way people treat cold email. LinkedIn is totally different. It's about relationship building. It's about building the brand. So if we can make some analogy, cold emails, it's about ads. LinkedIn, it's about branding. And why it's happening like this? Basically, because LinkedIn is the most humanized social media platform for business. We can see someone's face. We can see someone's education, their experience, who they are, their post, their sense of humor, literally everything on LinkedIn. With cold emailing, it's just an anonymous email address and the name. That's basically it. So, and one more thing, like, so how it actually affects, basically right now, the LinkedIn, it might not bring you enough results right now, just because out of sending the very first campaign, this is maybe true. Compared to cold email. With cold email, you can send, hundreds of thousands of emails the same week and probably get some of the replies and, well, some of the clients. Okay, all good. But in reality, LinkedIn is growing, and the correlation between the time and the result you're getting is totally different, and it's growing way bigger compared to cold emailing in the mid and long run. And if you're not doing LinkedIn lead generation right now, guys, you're missing really successful lead generation channel in 6 months. So, and let's talk about the LinkedIn and the comparison with cold email. Again, with cold email, it's totally different conversion rates compared to LinkedIn. With LinkedIn, guys, we need to understand that. With LinkedIn, we do have limits. We are limited, right? We cannot send thousands. This is true. But we have a limit of a few hundreds, 500, 600, 700, sometimes 1,000 of connection requests that we can send per month. But let's take a normal case. Just a random LinkedIn profile sending 200 to 400 connection requests with the average 55% of acceptance rate and 10% reply rate. As a result, it's from 1 to 4 leads per month. For some people, it might be enough, but for the majority, it might be, okay, not that much. And even if it's enough for you, the question is how to double it, how to make it bigger. And guys, we cannot make it by just, doubling or tripling or quadrupling or, I don't know, 5 times more. I already don't know that word. The amount of connection requests that we are sending. What we can do, we can change the quality and the approach that we are using to maximize every single conversation that we have. Guys, whenever we are limited, imagine the place. It looks like a paradise. You can get 10%, 15%, 20% reply rate. People are replying to you. People are engaging with you. Imagine that. But you're limited. It might sound like a paradise. Wow, such a great conversion rate, and they are normal, but you're limited. What you should do in this case, you should maximize every single connection request that you're sending, every single message that you're sending, every single contact you're adding to your campaigns. As a result, if you're not doing those things, LinkedIn will not work for you. Because if you're using the same approach as with cold emailing, it will not work. If you're not creating any content, it will not work. Okay, yeah, it might work, but not that amazing work, like not 80 or 100 leads per month. If you don't know your ICP pretty well and your buyer persona, it won't work. If you're using outdated tactics, it won't work. And if you're using a wrong tool set, and I know that we have someone on this webinar who might tell you about the great tools, but about the bad tools, I can tell you guys, don't just use bad tools because it just won't work for you, the LinkedIn. Just quickly about the LinkedIn evolution. So again, LinkedIn started pretty like the growth was super amazing, but after that, the spam era, during those 5 years, people hated LinkedIn, and this is true. And then LinkedIn started fighting against spammers by reducing the limits and actually fighting against spammers. So now, whenever your recipients or you are getting connection requests, you're not getting hundreds of spammers. You're getting only the most relevant people. Only the healthiest LinkedIn accounts are knocking on your door, and you have the same opportunity. Now you have less competition compared to 5 or 10 years ago on LinkedIn. Back in days, people just didn't care. They just didn't want to go to their inbox. Now, inbox is only filled with the most relevant conversations. So the thing here is that the main difference in the approach that you actually need to understand when it comes to LinkedIn is that, and comparing to cold emailing, is that with cold emailing, you don't have the limitation of whether people connect with you or not, accept your connection request or not, etc., etc. You can send follow-ups. One follow-up, second follow-up, third follow-up. You don't know whether those follow-ups are going to go to spam or not, but you can just do those things, right? With LinkedIn, it's different. You can send connection request, and if people do not accept it, you are having a way worse situation compared to cold emailing because you cannot actually send follow-ups. Yes, there are some emails, some other things, etc., etc. But guys, if people accept your connection request, now it's totally different because you can send the follow-ups and you're 100% sure that those follow-ups are not going to go and be trapped by spam folders. B, you can engage with their content. They can see your content. And now you're building the more relationships, the way stronger bond between you and this person and this contact comparing to the connection, the cold emailing. And as a result, you at least can get 10 to 15% reply rate easily, just because LinkedIn is working differently. And the thing that is actually working right now, you remember I shared with you the part of the of our workflow, or like the overall framework that we are using. It's basically covering every single part of the LinkedIn growth. It's about finding the most relevant people, because in order to maximize every single conversation, we need to make sure that every single person who we are adding to the campaign is actually super relevant. So we are not wasting our limits. B, we are preparing amazing content and try to nurture those people. C, we create our profile so people can actually book calls with us. And we get at least 15% of our leads just coming from my LinkedIn profile, directly booking a call with me. And of course, really great, prepared, and amazing LinkedIn outreach. So this is the link to this mirror board. Just quickly about it, we find people, we try to find them the most relevancy criteria. We find thousands people, 2,000, 3,000 people contacts, and we need to find top 10% of them who are the most relevant by using buyer signals, triggers, relevancy criteria, blah, 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 all those things. After that, we find their extra information, and then we personalize our outreach and reach out to them at the end of the day. So we always start with the ICP. Guys, I don't want to spend so much time on this, but if just tell me in the chat before we go on, would you like me to share our examples of ICP, hypothesis, and by personas? Just tell me yes or no. If you're not interested, just tell me no. It's fine. I mean, yeah, I see. Yes, 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 sure. Yes, yes. Okay, Fabian. I'm not selling it, sending it to Fabian, but for the rest of the people, I'm gonna send it. All right. All right, all right. Yeah, I will send it to you guys with the link to the guide on how to work with ICP. But we always start with understanding of our audience. After that, we adapt our profile, and Nadia will actually talk about the adaptation of the profile way more. So I don't want to spend too much time on this because we are limited with our time. And if you want, I can send you guys more things here. And of course, you're gonna get the deck so you can actually walk through these examples and see what I actually mentioned for every single part of the profile. So make sure that you follow those things. And of course, after that, we need to find the people. And when it comes to the finding, we of course use the sales navigator, because if you're reaching out people on LinkedIn, we have to have the LinkedIn sales navigator. Nadia, can I just ask you a question before I move on? Do you know any successful results on LinkedIn of people who are not using the sales navigator?
Yes, 100%. A lot of them.
How do they do those things? Because I've never seen anyone getting great results without the sales navigator. Or premium.
When you say without sales navigator, you mean like for creating
the premium,
or for actually being able to send?
No, I think for premium, or just do they pay for LinkedIn?
Yeah, actually 100%, because our customers are actually in most cases agencies, and then agencies work with their clients, obviously, that are paying the agency for the lead generation services. And in most cases, the clients themselves don't have sales navigator always in the place. So agencies manage accounts on behalf of their clients, and those actually are oftentimes normal LinkedIn accounts. And they do get results. And we will obviously discuss why that is the case. Again, I think the slide that we're looking at is one of the key points here, which is the targeting, so that the lead list that you're building, the messaging, and obviously how you're reaching out to the leads.
I see. Actually, I've never seen anyone getting great results on LinkedIn without having any premium version of LinkedIn. That is why.
Let's debate here. I think that's a very interesting point. I would love to know why. Like, why do you think Sales Navigator itself or premium account is going to make a big difference?
It gives you an opportunity to actually leverage your widgets of your profile and actually find kind of relevant people on LinkedIn, and considering your connection requests, etc., those type of things. I do believe that it's quite important for the sales navigator functionality. Plus, this badge gives me always the feeling that, okay, it's premium. So I don't have a clear explanation. I just always felt it like this.
No, that's fair. So I actually disagree and agree with you. In a way that I agree is if you don't use tools like Clay or any buying intent tools that you have maybe in-house, or you're working with an agency that has those tools, and you're just stuck with a LinkedIn search itself to actually do the outreach, then definitely the results are not going to be there. But if you do have Clay in place, if you have enrichment tools, buying intent tools in your tech stack, and you're reaching out to the proper leads, whether you're using a sales navigator, like there is like a nice premium icon on your profile or not going to really matter as long as you reach out to the right leads with the right messaging. And then it's not always sales navigator that is going to enable you to do that. So yeah, I would say we agree and also disagree in some ways, but I think we're both on the same page here.
Just a quick question. Do you feel that there is a correlation between the basic profile and the kind of premium, whatever, paid account on LinkedIn with the limits that people have? So imagine like two kind of similar profiles. One is on premium, another one is not on the premium. Are they going to have the same amount of limitations on LinkedIn when it comes to connection requests or messages that they're sending?
That's a great question. I was actually seeing what people are writing in the chat before, like when you were presenting about the limits. I think the response here, whoever actually gives you a response, being confident in a response is probably going to be lying. I would say that nobody really knows how LinkedIn works. And even though we all think that we have some knowledge on the limitations, numbers of connections, whether LinkedIn Premium is in more favor when it comes to LinkedIn, nobody actually knows. But what I would say is that definitely those with the Sales Navigator Premium accounts are in more friendly side of LinkedIn, let's call it like that, because like just from a business perspective, when you think about it, people are paying for LinkedIn Sales Navigator, so it's in LinkedIn's interest itself to actually keep those accounts. Otherwise, like they're losing revenue on their side. However, what I want to say is like, even if you don't, let's say you have a sales team of 10 people, 5 of them have Sales Navigator, 5 of them don't. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't be using 5 LinkedIn accounts that are regular LinkedIn accounts. It's just about like optimizing them as well. That's kind of where I was leading with this. It's more like don't miss out on scaling just because you don't have endless amount of Sales Navigator licenses.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. By the way, guys, I see that a lot of people say about some Apollo, Epify enrichments, Clay, blah, 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 all those things. You're right, but I can tell you my experience. The best coverage in terms of data that we are getting, I will share it to you here. We get not from Apollo, and of course not from Clay. I mean, like Clay is the data orchestration platform and not the data research platform. Not from ZoomInfo or Ocean.ai, oh, sorry, IO, etc., but exactly from LinkedIn. So in any type of the data research and data in not data enrichment, but data research part, we always leverage the Sales Navigator engine for the highest coverage in terms of people and who are working within the company. So what we usually do, we always start the search from the company level, and then we use like different tools for finding the most relevant companies and using some extra buyer signals, etc., to identify who is the most relevant or not. But when it comes to finding people out of those companies, we usually use the Sales Navigator because it shows the best coverage in terms of relevant data and up-to-date data from the people. So I will show you that it's kind of custom thing that we are doing, and you can partially do this in HeyReach, I know, but this is exactly what we do. So we actually use some advanced targeting to find in companies. Usually we are not using the part of the triggers that you might see here. The reason for that they're not accurate on Sales Navigator, and our main goal is just to find the companies. We might find them here or might find them on some other platforms. It is fine to use some other platforms for finding the companies. After that, a few tips, guys. Just use the Boolean searches like this or this, and this is pretty clear. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people know about those things. But when it comes to finding the people, finding the companies, what is our next step? So it's our next step is that we need to find who of them actually match our ICP, because our ICP don't finish and is not bounded and bordered by the amount of by the criteria for the Sales Navigator. It actually goes way deeper in terms of whether this company is SaaS or not SaaS, whether this company is B2B or not B2B, etc. And for this type of the enrichment, this is our first type of the enrichment, we actually try to find who is out of those companies who we found in software development industry, who actually fits our ICP, such as like who is the fintech companies, who has totally different, totally different pains and the charges comparing to SaaS, like just broad SaaS thing, etc. So for this, we're using the Clay, and here's we're using the Clay agent within Clay, to identify who fits our ICP or doesn't fit just by what the company is basically doing. In terms of the target, that just doesn't mean that doesn't fit will never be our clients, but just it means that if you want to test the hypothesis and try this specific audience, the niche audience, the more segmented audience, we need to run through the extra type of the qualification of the company based on their website and the LinkedIn information that we got out of the HeyReach Sales Navigator, and then we're using HeyReach for scraping the companies. Basically, the reason why I like HeyReach is that I don't know whether you knew this, guys, or not, but you're actually available to download the company search, not the people search, from the Sales Navigator. And this is one of the reasons I was wowed when I saw that. It's pretty amazing. So we find the companies, then we check whether they actually fit with our ICP or not. And when they fit with our ICP, After that, we are using like some kind of a custom solution in terms of finding the list of people that match with the title list and who work in a specific company. So you see Clark Consulting with a specific titles. And this gives us the best coverage in terms of people who are actually working for every specific company and not just Apollo APIs or some other types of APIs, because they are A, not up to date, B, they actually do not give us the highest coverage in terms of the people. So if you want, guys, I can share with you in more details on how we exactly do this thing, but we get the highest coverage when it comes, we're leveraging the LinkedIn search navigator engine to find the people based on the list of companies we already have and got from the HeyReach, after that Clay through ICP amplification, blah, blah, blah. So after that, we do the enrich the basics. So we actually try to find the LinkedIn profiles for those who we couldn't find, some email addresses, blah, blah, all those things. They're just pretty basic. And I'm pretty sure that if you're leveraging Clay, you know about those things. So no questions about that. But after that, the most important thing, guys, here is that we have a list of thousands of companies and a few thousands of people who we can reach out to. The question is, who should we prioritize, right? And our main approach and the way we do the outbound is basically try to always prioritize the relevancy first outreach. So when we try to reach out to people who actually might be relevant for us, how do we do this? We actually, so it's going to be from 1 to 10% actually of our contact base who meet our ICP, blah, blah, blah. And at the same time, they are relevant to us. How do we do this? We actually check by secondary enrichment, by using the secondary enrichment to identify whether they're hiring someone or whether they're B2B or B2C, or whether they're using a specific tool stack, or whether they're showing any specific type of the traffic, or what is their amount of sales if it's the e-commerce business, etc., etc. So we're using the extra enrichment in order to identify out of those few thousands of contacts and companies who are those 200 the most relevant, who we can reach out to and adapt our messaging to them. After that, we use the tiering system. So here is the example of our hypothesis that we are using in terms of testing the approaches for the enrichment that we are using. And for all of those things, we use the AI engine. And if you want, guys, I could share with you some of the examples. We both do them on Clay and on NA10. Here, I decided to show a simpler version on Clay, but if you want, I can share with you some of our blueprints. And basically, what we do, we actually analyze the website, check their pricing, blah, 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 all those things. We can actually do those things with AI now. Wow, super amazing. Then we actually check the search. So for example, we check whether this company is ranking by specific SEO keywords, whether there are specific competitors in a specific location for this company, to mention that in our outreach, et cetera, et cetera. Then we check their tech stack using the build with API or using our specific approach where we are getting this for $0, the tech stack growth hack on Clay, where we are using the Clay agent to enrich everyone, to scrape everyone's public build with page and enrich this data. So actually for free without spending any credits. The same happens with the funding. We understand what is the amount of money that the company raised, or how many months they did that, etc., etc. By the way, before we move on, I am finishing right now, and I'm just gonna give I'm gonna give the mic to just give me 2 minutes, and but before we move on, Nadia, what are the triggers or buyer signals or enrichment methods that you feel are the most working for you? I know for us, that is the most performant one.
For HeyReach specifically, or in general that I think?
Both in general and for HeyReach.
I would say to answer the question for what generally works the best really is impossible because it depends on the ICP. So obviously for some companies, if they're targeting salespeople in B2B SaaS, buying signals might be somebody changing a role, somebody getting hired as a VP of sales, hiring a new team engineer. And then obviously if you're targeting, I don't know, lawyers in San Francisco, your buying signals are going to be quite different, which is, for example, opening a new law office or something like that. For HeyReach specifically, because we are focused on specifically lead generation agencies and big sales teams, For us, it's going to be more or less common sales triggers, such as, for example, if somebody just hired a GTM engineer, for us, that's a great signal because there's a chance that they might be using tools like Clay. And then HeyReach was built really for integration into the tools that are part of like a bigger GTM tech stack. So we obviously then expect that this is going to be a better potential prospects for us. There are different triggers that we're tracking, but for us, we're mostly focused on the inbound led outbound, let's call it like that. So we're focused mostly on people who are engaging with our posts because we're quite active on LinkedIn. And that's typically kind of the approach that we have going on. Obviously, like if we have website visitors, people engaging with our content, it's mostly inbound led outbound, let's call it like that.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. The most working trigger for us is actually not the trigger, is that we have the end-to-end workflow that is scraping tons of different influencers who are talking about the call deliverability, and we actually help with call deliverability. And we check whether this post is about the call deliverability, and if it is, we are scraping people who engage with that, then we match them and reach them with our ICP, then we take them and start sending them our materials about how to avoid the spam, etc., and then we convert them into our potential leads. This is our like top action.
For sure. And to kind of just to clarify, like if we're actually talking about like the actual strategies, I would if any company actually has any content going on, it's always best to do what you're doing currently, including like that's what we are also doing. I saw somebody's comment that like hiring triggers are overused, and I actually agree. There's a lot of emails and messages going out like, hey, I just saw that you've been hired, etc. For us, it's not like a messaging that we're using, but for us, for example, GTM engineers are a great signal. Either way, I think content is always, and that's what we're going to discuss a bit more on the content side of things on LinkedIn. I saw one of the comments that there is going to be a new future of GTM engineering, of GTM outbound right here. Something like influencers, I don't know. I'm going to check, but I actually love that idea of everybody's right now becoming an influencer on LinkedIn. Everybody's creating content. Everybody's using it. I think it's great. I think that's where we were all aiming to kind of get. But let's see how the future unfolds, because at one point it might also get influencership, exactly. So that might also get a bit overused. Right now, I think that's the best way to go. Sorry.
Yeah,
right now,
that's amazing. So guys, so at the end of the day, what we try to do, we try to get all of those triggers enriched by using AI and some extra data scraping within Clay, and that we use it for sending cold email and LinkedIn outreach campaigns to reach out to the most relevant people. Guys, I have a list of the flows that we are currently using, plus the N8N blueprints. And if you want, I can send it to you. Just tell me in the chat whether you want it or not. I can send it to you so you can copy those things. So I don't want to spend too much time explaining how it works. You can just copy and paste it. Like the N8N workflows that are working almost on the same level as Clay, but for a fraction of the price, or some of the flows that we are using within Clay. So guys, you can use. By the way, those are the N8N workflows. They are working directly with HeyReach in terms of like webhooks we are sending to HeyReach for some of our clients. So we didn't finish that for ourselves, but for our clients, it's finished. So all right. Guys, I guess I spent too much time. I mean, like it's already too much said from my side. Just to sum it up, guys, we try to treat LinkedIn differently. We try to use the Clay and whatever things to prioritize the audience and try to reach out to the most relevant people. But the question is how to do this outreach, right? And that is why we do have Nadia here today. And Nadia, can you please take the mic and tell people how to do the LinkedIn outreach and LinkedIn growth from your point of view?
For sure. Do you mind stop?
Yeah, sharing the screen. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I don't know how I'm gonna keep up with your presentation skills, Ilya. You're one of a kind here. My energy is not that high as yours is today, but I'm gonna try to kind of keep up with the flow that we have going on here. I'm actually surprised to see how many educated comments we have here in the chat. No, I wasn't really sure what kind of audience we will be having today, whether it's going to be, people very experienced or on LinkedIn inbound or outbound or not that experienced. So my presentation itself that we're going to go through is going to be a bit more, focused on how to build and optimize your LinkedIn profiles, how to create content, and then obviously like the messaging and campaigns itself. What I want to say is that there are two things that we're seeing currently on LinkedIn, and how outbound itself works today, which is first, you have obviously people who are right now getting started that might not be that experienced in all of the GTM tools that exist out there. And they oftentimes get discouraged by seeing all of the tech stack that exists, all of the flows that people are using. There's a lot of mentions of NA10, Make, Play, different processes, different workflows. And if you're starting off on LinkedIn, you probably get intimidated by all of that. That's also the reason that I went ahead and I'm going to actually share with you a very, very, very simple campaign that actually generated great results without all of this fluff, without all of this fancy tech stack, just to prove the point that it's, yes, tech stack today that exists is great. It's going to help you a lot. It's going to help you with targeting. I 100% agree with what Ilya was sharing on how important knowing your ICP is and how important catching those buying intent is. But again, I don't want anybody here though that might not be that experienced with LinkedIn outbound getting discouraged, because you can still get results. And even with one LinkedIn profile that is also not maybe Sales Navigator account, if you do a bit of a research and do a proper outreach, you can get some results. And I agree with the comment here, simplicity is still the king. So let's get into the deck that I'm gonna share. Just give me 1 second to share my screen and let me know once you can see it. Ilya, just please let me know because
it works.
Not sure. Okay, I've done webinars so many times and I still get stuck on the same spot. Amazing. So I'm not going to be able to see comments anymore, which I'm very sad about. So Ilya, feel free to bring up any questions that you see in the chat or interrupt me as we're going through this. So just a quick story. I know that a lot of you actually, from what I saw, know who I am. Ilya introduced me quickly, but I was head of sales, ex-head of sales in Lemlist, multi-channel outbound tool. Today, I'm a head of sales at HeyReach, a LinkedIn outreach tool. And my entire career has basically been working for outbound tools and also doing outbound myself. So I was leading always sales outbound teams, building outbound teams from scratch. Sorry, I'm just going to remove us here so that people can see. And doing this outbound, I was actually able to help grow one company from 1 to 14 million in annual recurring revenue bootstrapped. And today working with HeyReach, who was able to grow in 22 months from 0 basically to 6 million, again, bootstrapped. The entire approach here that we're going to show today is actually how both of these companies grew, which is obviously using LinkedIn outreach, but specifically focused on LinkedIn as a channel for inbound, where you're creating great content and generating leads from that. Now, quick summary of me, 10 years doing outbound, working for outbound tools, know ins and outs of every single tool out there. So I'm very happy to kind of walk you through the LinkedIn outreach as a channel today. And one thing that I want to highlight is that back in the day, I feel old when I say this, but like back in the day, when we were doing LinkedIn, when we were doing outbound, email was really a primary channel. And I think we were actually one of the first ones to introduce personalization as a topic and as an idea to the market. Before that, you had like those templated emails that were going out, really like spam emails. Reply rates were about like 3-5% or something like that. Then personalization became a thing. Everybody started doing it. And then obviously, as the time went on, what Ilya shared, email has changed as a channel, a lot of spam filtering happening. And then personalization has shifted from personalization to relevance at scale. And this is what you also want to achieve on LinkedIn. Ilya didn't leave me a lot of time here, so I'm going to try to go very fast through the questions, through the slides, so that we have some time for the Q&A. That's where typically all the magic happens. But what we're going to cover here is really like LinkedIn profile that becomes your dynamic asset, content that brings inbound. And then I'm going to show you one example of a campaign that our client actually did with only two tools. So nothing fancy, no Clay, no insanely advanced GTM workflows, even though 99% of our customers are actually creating those advanced workflows. And the reason for that is because I want to kind of keep it simple on this webinar. For any other questions, we will go and I will share some more resources. Now, the reality of LinkedIn today, again, gonna skip very quickly through this. Ilya was already sharing the power of LinkedIn, why it's a channel that you want to focus on today. But what I want to focus on as well is that not only it's right now easier channel to get a response on simply because there are no spam filters, but it's also a place where you're not only sending the message, you're able to present yourself as a persona. Like your LinkedIn profile itself is going to speak about your experience, your credibility. It's going to become basically your landing page. So this, along with the messages you might be sending to your prospect, basically creates like all-in-one package where you have your profile picture or like a profile on LinkedIn, which is your landing page. You have your outreach, you have a valuable content that you're sharing, and then you're building out your inbound engine on top of it. So it's both inbound and outbound, both marketing and sales. So for me, this is one of the channels that you really, really want to focus on in cases where your ICP is active on LinkedIn. So this is a very important part that I want to highlight, because we might have somebody here on the call hearing all of this, thinking that LinkedIn is going to be the best channel for them. They might have already tested it out and it didn't work. And I will tell you that in most cases, the reason that this doesn't work is simply because your ICP is not active on LinkedIn. So even though there's above 900 million professionals on LinkedIn actually being having their accounts on LinkedIn, not all of them are active on LinkedIn. And some industries are really not a perfect fit for actually LinkedIn outreach, and they might be a better fit for cold calling or even cold emailing. So keep this in mind. Again, identify whether your ICP is active. Easy way to do it is just to go to Sales Navigator and see the filtering option, which is posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days. If there is a very low amount of people who have been actively posting in the last 30 days within your ICP, chances are you might not have a right ICP on LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn as a channel, again, as any other channel for outbound, is the success of it is going to depend not only on your, let's say, your approach, but it's also going to require some structure. So a lot of times somebody will say that they've tried out LinkedIn outreach, but it flopped, and they don't believe that it's a good channel for them. And in most cases, when I actually try to dig into what was the reason for it, it's actually because there was no consistency and there were no follow-ups, meaning there was actually no structure. And to keep this structure, in 99% of the cases, you actually do want to have some kind of automation in place and a strategic approach to it. I know myself how many times, because again, I come from a place where I was the first one probably to send a personalized email. I'm a very big fan of this human touch, personalized outreach. I want to handle every single lead with a very careful consideration and personal touch, and message them myself individually every single lead. Every time that I try to do that, I would not follow up. And statistically speaking, follow-ups are where the actual conversions happen on LinkedIn. Just think of how many times you got a message on LinkedIn, forgot to reply in that moment, and then you never replied. On the second reply, on the second follow-up, it's where I, in most cases, actually reply to a prospect. So you do want to have these follow-ups happening, which realistically speaking, you're not going to do if you're not automating. So this is where the systems really differ from the tactics. Again, tactics are quick wins. You know, you saw a comment, you reached out, you booked a meeting. I mean, you have some templates that you're using, but these are tactics that are like one-off tricks. However, what you want to do here is have a system that is repeatable, that it creates like a scalable process, and continuously build your pipeline. So instead of spraying and praying, messaging everybody with the same template, not having a good optimized profiles and no structure whatsoever for LinkedIn outreach, make sure that you have a structure in place where the profiles itself that you have, and we were going to talk about this a bit more, are evolving as your campaigns are evolving, that you're creating targeted lead lists with intention, and that your basically messaging is rooted in like proper segmentation and automation as well. Now, I'm assuming from what I saw in the comments that we have actually an educated audience here that is already actively using LinkedIn as a channel. So this might not be news to you, but your profile on LinkedIn is not your CV as it used to be in the past. And everybody was just kind of bragging about their accomplishments, and we were just listing, you know, the experience section of like all the companies that they worked for. It's actually a funnel. So this means that every single part of your LinkedIn profile has to be optimized to your current ICP. And when I say that, you will potentially work for a company where you have 3 different ICPs. In our case, it could be agencies, so lead generation agencies, it can be sales teams, and in some cases, it could also be like recruiting companies as an example. So if I actually wanted to address all 3 of these ICPs, my profile would be very broad and a mess. But if this month I'm running a campaign that is targeting lead generation agencies, and Vukashin, our CMO, who is also hopefully still on this chat, is running ads targeting this specific audience, I'm going to make sure that my LinkedIn profile is fully optimized specifically for this ICP. So talking about the agency owner pain points, about agency owner lead generation workflows, about their problems and their pain points. So this means that your profile needs to be optimized specifically for a specific LinkedIn ICP that you actually have, that you're currently targeting and addressing. This means that you want to update your headline, banner, and summary. I wrote here every month, but it doesn't have to be every month. Every time that you have a change of focus on which ICP you're targeting the most. Let me see here what I have written. The key sections, obviously, go ahead.
By the way, Nadia, since there are a lot of people here, and I thought that what if at some point, that's just an idea, what if some point we just jump on a quick live stream, 20 minutes, and do the roasting of the LinkedIn profiles?
We can do it. Yeah, let's right now and roast my own LinkedIn profile. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to stop sharing.
Yeah, I mean, like
I actually wanted to do that because I was before hopping on a webinar, I was checking my LinkedIn profile and I was like, I can actually not use my LinkedIn profile because it's not optimized and it's not going to be a good example. So I do want to show where I did a good job and where I didn't do a good job. So we can actually use my LinkedIn profile. I'm very happy to be roasted. So let's go. And Ilya, by the way, feel free to just give me 1 second. I think I'm seeing my entire tab.
Yes, they do.
Amazing. Okay.
Yes. So guys, probably it would be great in the chat. Guys, please feel free to share, like, from 0 to 10, how do you enjoy Nadia's profile?
Don't force me. I'm kidding.
Like that, you decide to do those things. I would actually, I was doing that in the past, and I know that it's quite valuable for people whenever you roast their profiles, because they might understand it from your example, but they always have the question how applicable it is to my case, because I have a totally different audience, and you're selling to salespeople and GTM engineers, but we are selling to more enterprise level companies. How can we do those things? So usually, guys, and for those who didn't say 10, please tell us in the chat what exactly you didn't like. So what are the improvements? What would you say?
By the way, I'm not seeing the chat. So while people are writing it in the chat, I actually do want to give my point of view.
Yeah, that's a great comment from Andrew. Yeah, Andrew said 8, very wordy title, and no booking link.
Okay, perfect. There is a reason that I don't have a booking link, which is that we have too much inbound. I know it's a very
too much
big statement, but we do have actually a big. I mean, we have a small sales team, so I think that's a better statement, which is a small sales team that cannot handle all of the inbound. So I would probably
poor you, too many leads.
Yeah, I am like again
too much growth.
Too much growth. We're suffering. So yeah, what I would say is, like, first of all, for me, this headline, and by the way, I've updated my LinkedIn profile. I don't even remember when. Too long, too complex. If you see it like when I'm writing comments and I just pop up on the small part of my LinkedIn itself, the headline is going to be cut out. It's not addressing that much my ICP. It is addressing my ICP in some way, mentioning that I'm also an agency founder, so they can relate. There's some credibility, but again, too complicated, too much, and a bit full of myself, I would say. One thing that I do like is the headline. So the banner, which has a CTA, immediately basically giving, not CTA, it gives a clear value prop of what we are all about and what you can expect if you test out HeyReach, which is basically 10x your LinkedIn outreach without scaling your team, automating outreach itself, and then we go from there. Now, you will see here that the last time that I've actually optimized my LinkedIn profile was when I was looking for a new job. So my entire LinkedIn profile here, I think it actually served the purpose at that point, but it's not serving a purpose now, which is my audience. is not about really what is the success that I'm bringing to my clients. It's only about me. So it is my CV, which I did for a reason at that point when I was getting hired, obviously, which was basically describing my experiences, walking through kind of what I was done successfully in the past, etc. What you do want to have here, if you're actively doing outbound, is have each experience speaking about how you're actually addressing your clients' pain points. So here I would talk about helping agency owners establish GTM workflows, build out, scale their lead generation strategies, etc. So this part for me, experience completely flopped, I would say. Where I did do a good job is always like the content that I'm sharing, which I know that I'm constantly like addressing our ICP and the content itself. And you can see quite a lot of like engagement on my end from my perfect ICP. So there's a lot of work to be done. If you want to have an example of a profile that is semi-done, it could be definitely improved, take a look at mine, feel free to connect. I'm very happy to hear feedback as well. As you can tell, I haven't done this in a while. This was a bit uncomfortable as well.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What I would do, my profile is not perfect as well, but what I would do, actually, I would ask Book to share the most valuable guide that you have, or the link, or to the video, or even to this webinar, guys. Even to this webinar, like, how do you feel like if Nadia adds the link to the recording of this webinar, so people can actually understand how to work with LinkedIn, right? So put this at the link, just saying, hey, 10x. You can start from here. I mean, like, and the link to the website, or to the valuable within the headline banner, like a small one. You can start there, and with the arrow. In the featured, that's pretty great. Like that, you have your posts, amazing, like your viral posts, super great. What I would add, like out of 3, I would add 1 with the direct link to HeyReach. So actually, people who are coming from your LinkedIn profile needs to have an easy way to check it out if they never heard about HeyReach. So that's the thing that I would definitely do.
I think the key here for me is, well, like, keep in mind that I would think of this as a profile that you should have if you're actively looking for a job. This was the first time that I was actually optimizing my profile before joining HeyReach. So it is a proper resume, CV, and it's been how do you say it? Prepared for the recruiters when they're checking it out. So this is something obviously that you will unfortunately have at one point in your life when you're looking for a new job. Again, if you're doing active outreach and sales, that's not what you want to have. And like, obviously the approach is going to be a bit different. But I really want to make sure, because I know we're out of time, people who've been with us for 1 hour, I do want to share some value here, because we obviously skipped all of my slides. It's totally fine. I'm going to share my slides, by the way, with everybody, so you can go through the rest of it with you all. But if you do want to see examples of different campaigns, different copies that you can run, different clay, make, N8N templates, etc. I'm gonna actually drop. Ili, do you mind if I drop here in the chat the link? Sure. If you want to share it somewhere else?
Sure. And of course, you send it me, and after that, I sent to everyone as well, in the, like, to those who are watching this as a recording.
Perfect.
So.